everybody. This is ChasingCinema.com's official podcast. I am your host, Jacob Toronto, joined by my loyal, faithful co-host and best friend,
Louis Corzolo.
And we are here to talk the world of motion picture for the 118th time. However, if you've not been tuning in to the last 118 podcasts, I want to thank you for downloading this podcast or listening to it on your way home or to work or doing whatever you're doing at the gym. If you're listening to us as you're pumping iron, more power to you. But thank you for downloading and listening to us. Thank you for supporting our podcast. If it is your first time listening, what we usually do is me and Lou kind of recap the week of what we've been watching, what we've been exploring during the week. We get into a little bit of some movie news, and we usually review major release. However, today is going to be a little bit different. First, I want to talk about our old friends, Alex and Mike from The Other Sides. We had these guys on the podcast, I believe, somewhat last October, or maybe even a little bit longer than that. But they are the other sides, the paranormal investigators that are trying to show the world the truth behind the paranormal. Really, really great guys, good friends of ours. They are finishing the documentary. When they were on our podcast, they were talking about the documentary film that they were trying to complete. Now, after a long road of blood, sweat, and tears, they are on their way to complete this documentary. They are looking actually for some funding to finish their last 2 location shoots and put the film into post-production and be edited and eventually market it and release it. So they're going to need some help. And as of course I always say here at Chasing Cinema, we always want to help local filmmakers and independent filmmakers, regardless of what the material is. We want young artists or artists in general to make their art, and we want to help support that. So I'm going to be linking their Indiegogo campaign below in our description and everywhere else you can kind of see it. If not, we're also going to be tweeting it and Facebooking it out this week. But I'm going to give it to you right now. Guys, go on this website, check out their trailer, see what they have posted, and do what you can. You know, the greatest thing about with the internet, that we're allowed to help young artists make their art, and that's what we want to do here. So make sure to go check out this link right here. It's going to be igg.me/@/othersides, and other sides is with the Z, not an S. Again, that's igg.me/@/othersides with the Z. Alex and Mike, we wish you the best, and we can't wait to see this film get finally made. Now, moving on, the next thing we're going to talk about is quite an unfortunate event that happened in the world of film. We recently lost a legendary actor and comedian, Robin Williams, and Louis and I have decided to dedicate this podcast to Mr. Williams and his loved ones by giving him a tribute by talking about our favorite Robin Williams movies. We're going to be doing a list of top 5, and we'll be talking, obviously, a lot about some honorable mentions, because if you know his filmography, you know 5 is just not enough. So what we're going to do is me and Louis are going to talk about what we've been watching. I'm going to, and maybe some movie news, and I'm going to quickly review this weekend's big release, If I Stay, starring Chloe Grace Moretz, and then we're going to get off on our list. So thank you for listening, and here we go. Louis, what have you been watching this week so far?
This week, I kept it very simple. And just because, like you said, the tragic loss everyone had, of Robin Williams, I decided to try to honor his career, his life, and watch some of his greatest hits. I've been watching various YouTube clips of him in, of course, different interviews inside the actor's studio, Letterman, Fallon, all, different clips and stand-up. The one film I did watch of his this past week was Mrs. Doubtfire, which I'm sure we're going to be talking about much, much later in this podcast. So, I won't go into it brief, but my family and I decided to sit down and watch that classic again. And I also relived his stand-up from 2002 live on Broadway in its entirety. And that was a real treat, because I remember watching it around the time it came out, maybe a couple years afterwards, and enjoying then. But really watching it now and putting things in perspective, he was truly not only a gifted comedian and physical stage present comedian, but what a brilliant mind he had. He really never stopped. He was always moving, always thinking, always coming up with something hilarious to say, something meaningful to say. Everything he said, you had, everyone on the edge of the seat. And in this stand-up, very much everything holds true. And he did something very difficult that a lot of comedians kind of fail at, I think. Some of his jokes are very crude, very potentially rude and offensive. I know he joked about Michael Jackson and all that, and it could have become offensive, but he kept it in such a manner where it was just a good time. You couldn't get offended, you couldn't be hurt, you just were there to laugh and to enjoy life. And that's really what Robin Williams personified. And in that stand-up, he definitely hit a home run.
One of the amazing talents that he has also, I believe Jimmy Fallon mentioned it as he gave a little tribute to Robin Williams, is that he was so quick to constantly change characters in a stand-up or a situation where he would talk. He would be this one character talking to another character and be able to switch back and forth. And he was just so quick to kind of change character, change his tone of his voice, the way he spoke, what accent he was using, whatever it may be. He was very, very fast. And though I will say, I liked watching his stand-up. I enjoyed him more in the movies than I did his stand-up. It is impossible to deny his talent. It literally is impossible to deny that man's talent because he was so amazing. And you could just watch him own a stage on Broadway by himself, and that's pretty powerful stuff. So, is that all you've been watching this week?
So far, yes.
Excuse me. I've also been, like I said last week as well, been watching a lot of Robin Williams films, and ones we're going to be talking about tonight. So I'm not going to mention any of them right now. Excuse me, but I am going to talk about an event that I went to this weekend that I think is worth kind of talking about. This past Saturday night, August 16th, I believe, at the Mirage Hotel Casino. We live here in Vegas, if you are unfamiliar. Al Pacino was here for Pacino One Night Only. And Pacino One Night Only was a Q&A type setting where he sat down with a local journalist and answered some questions, and then did a Q&A with the audience. And Samantha and myself are both huge Pacino fans, so we jumped on the opportunity to finally go see him. Well, not finally, but I didn't even know he did this kind of thing. It seemed really weird because it wasn't even very widely advertised here in the city. Like, a lot of people didn't know of him being there or even what was going on. It just seemed really random. Nor did any of us know what it was going to be. And that was a very, very enjoyable event. I mean, if you've ever heard Pacino talk, he's very funny in a very strange way. But he also tells a lot of great stories, told a lot of stories, untold stories about his career in film and his personal life. And it was touching. I thought that the interview could have been a lot more, not I don't want to say invasive, not to say invasive, but could have gotten a lot more out. He ended up telling some stories that were kind of popular and asking some pretty general questions that I wish he would have asked some more. Same thing with the Q&A with the audience. A lot of the audiences, of course, were so excited to see him. Most of them were just asking him pretty basic questions, but he did weave his way through some of the general questions to bring out some different stories and some awesome stuff. But just seeing him live, we were 6 rows back, and seeing to the point where I could, I couldn't reach out and touch him, but I could definitely, I definitely, could have yelled his name and he would have heard me. It was about as close as I'm sure I might ever get to Al Pacino. But he rocked it. It was fun. It was a very, very fun evening. There was a lot of celebrities there. One of my favorites, Nicolas Cage, was there. Even though his bodyguards kept me away after me meeting him last time. No, I'm just kidding. But when I saw him,
he probably put you on the list.
He probably did. Well, when I saw him, he was just with his family, and a lot of people got cocked with a picture of him not being very spiffed up. And Samantha was even like, "He looks like a totally different person tonight." But he did have some. There were some guards watching him as he was leaving because the whole crowd was following. And me and Samantha and him just happened to be like one of the first ones out, and I was like, "Oh, Nicolas Cage."
So Nick Cage was in the audience with you.
Yes, but I didn't notice him. I don't know if he was in the audience. Maybe he was somewhere else. But when he came out of the same door we walked out of. there was a few other celebrities too. There was a co-star from Scarface. There was Antonio Fargas. If you don't know who that is, he was an actor who played Huggy Bear in Starsky and Hutch, and he did some stuff with Robert Downey Sr. So there was a couple of names there. Maybe not ones that people would jump to and take a lot of photos, but some that I definitely noticed. So yeah, it was very, very fun. Awesome evening. I don't know if he's touring I'm assuming he's touring, but I don't know where he's going. But I definitely check it out. Just Google Pacino One Night Only, see what comes up. And sorry, before we transition, one of the questions that they did ask those, because before they played a montage and there was a scene with him and Robin Williams, and they asked about how they felt about Robin Williams passing, and he said nothing but beautiful, beautiful things about Robin Williams, and seemed very genuinely saddened to kind of even talk about it. So it was really nice to see that they had a genuine friendship and how much Pacino appreciated him. So, Louis, you got some movie news for us?
Yes, I do. Like always, there's always something going on in Hollywood. And I know if you've been listening to us, we've been talking much about one of the 2 Jungle Book adaptations coming out in the future. We've been talking about the not live action, but the Jon Favreau's version of Jungle Book for Disney, which had Ben Kingsley, Christopher Walken, Scarlett Johansson, Elba, Lupita Nyong'o, all of that names. And we barely talked about Warner Brothers adaptation called Jungle Book's Origins, which is being directed by Andy Serkis, where finally they announced their first star of the film. He's going to be voicing the villain of the film, the Tiger, Shere Khan, and it's going to be voiced by Benedict Cumberbatch. So it's a brilliant, brilliant casting job. Anytime you get Cumberbatch in your film, the film gets that much better. And, up against Disney's film, which is just star-studded, Cumberbatch is a good way to counter Disney's. Wouldn't you agree?
I think getting Cumberbatch, just to me, is so much more exciting. Even though Disney's is so star-studded, Cumberbatch and Andy Serkis, and we've been on we've been nonstop on Cumberbatch. We think he is so good, especially as Shere Khan. I think that's going to be very interesting. Again, these 2 movies, I want to see both of them, and I'm really, really excited to see how they end up turning out. Absolutely,
and this is Serkis' first directing efforts, and the king of motion capture is going to be working with Benedict to, I know it's only the voice, but I hope there's going to be some type of motion capture in this film. I think it'd be a waste of Andy Serkis' brilliance and talents not to apply that in this film. And Benedict did do some motion capture for The Hobbit when he did the dragon. So, I think that could be a very, very special treat. And
I'm sure there's going to be a lot of motion capture. I would be shocked if not.
And it's very something different from what Disney's probably has store. So it gives you 2 different sides. So that's cool. In other news, we're going to keep it to the comic book game. For a very, very long time on Twitter.
Comic book game. This is the game we're in, and it's hard to stay in the comic book game. Sorry, comic book doesn't work like pajama.
You got the first line sounded good. After that, yeah.
A lot of people are probably wondering why I'm singing the pajama game, but whatever.
Some people might not even know that was the lyrics to the pajama games.
Me and Louis saw our high school do that play, and that song has been in my head ever since.
And I figured it out. With the pen and a pad.
With the pen and a pad, I figured it out.
That was my favorite song.
That's good. Anyway.
Moving on. For a long time now on Twitter, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson has been flirting ideas about joining the comic book movie universe. He's been hinting that he's been joining DC Comics for a long time, but never giving fans a definite yes or no. But recently, he did confirm that he is in talks with DC Comics right now, and he did confirm that he's going to be either playing Shazam or Black Adam. Now, Warner Brothers will also release 9 films related to DC Comics in the near future. Has Shazam movie scheduled for 2016. So that could be a very interesting slot for The Rock to occupy, or it would be with Black Adam. Unfortunately, I do not know either of these characters, so I'm going to pass it off to you, Jake.
Well, you pretty much have a good version and a bad version of these kind of characters. Black Adam is definitely a supervillain, or just sometimes an anti-hero, and he's a counterpart to Captain Marvel. What can I tell you? Shazam actually... No. I'm trying to remember how Black Adam is related to Shazam. Shazam, I believe, gave Captain Marvel powers. And him giving him powers, Captain Marvel would then feud with Black Adam. I honestly are not. These are not characters that I know very much about. But I feel like, I believe I'm not the only one. Shazam is very like Superman-ish, and it's he's not the most interesting character. I mean, let me see here.
I have the bio pulled up if you want me to read it quick.
Well, hold on. I do remember that Captain Marvel is actually Shazam. I'm pretty sure. I think they're actually the same person. So, I'm pretty sure like I said, I knew it was right in the beginning. I confused the hell out of myself. Black Adam feuds with Captain Marvel, also known as Shazam. And Shazam is very Superman-like. And Black Adam is kind of, Bizarro Shazam. From what I remember, or what I think. I'm probably not right, but this isn't Batman related. So go ahead, hit us with the thing.
This is from DC itself. So if this ain't right, nothing's right.
Okay.
Shazam, 2 syllables, famous for magically turning a boy into superpowered adult. Unlike most foster children, Billy Batson couldn't care less about finding a family. He just wants to turn 18 and finally become a man. While the boy is compassionate and kind, he's gotten used to protecting himself by staying emotionally distant from everybody. But that changes when he meets an ancient wizard who introduces him to one very powerful word. Just by saying Shazam, Billy is transformed into a magically flying adult superhero. One with the genius of Solomon, the strength of Hercules, the unbreakable will of Atlas, the lightning blast of Zeus, the power of Achilles, and the speed of Mercury. Jeez. But gaining the power of the gods means inheriting their enemies too. With the abilities of the world's mightiest mortal, Billy will have to struggle with magical threats as well as his own youthful naivete. To truly tap into his power, this orphan who's always kept people at arm's length will have to learn what family really is. Very interesting.
Jesus, I don't think anyone got any of that.
What?
I feel like that was a little bit too complicated.
That's too complicated.
I'm going to break down Black Adam for you real quick.
This is from DC.
I know, but that was complicated as all hell. Black Adam is a supervillain, just like I said.
That was not complicated.
And counterpart to Captain Marvel, who is an ancient Egyptian prince who's given incredible powers by the wizard Shazam and survived in the modern era. So basically, he's a bad guy. He's counterpart to a good guy. Black Adam. Shazam is a character that originally was named Captain Marvel, but he was renamed in the New 52s as Shazam, I believe. But yeah, it's complicated. It don't matter.
Damn. Saying these don't
Louis broke it down for you pretty nicely.
Yeah, and it was too complicated for some.
I'm just saying, it's a little bit more detailed than they need.
Adam Black, driven by the need to rule, incredibly arrogant, and one of the most powerful beings on the planet, Black Adam lives by simple creed. Kneel at his feet or be crushed by his boot. DC Comics, y'all.
It's like a knockoff Bizarro and Superman.
No, it's not.
I guess it's not, but it's... I mean...
do they have any ties with Batman and Superman themselves, or they're in their own little universe?
No, they're not in their own universe. I believe Superman has faced off with Captain Marvel, or Shazam, if you will, at one point in time. I know they crossed over. Shazam is good. Yeah, but they had like the cover of the comics would be them fighting, but you'd find out like they were just misunderstanding. But I know they've crossed over in some point in time. But again, for the life
because
of
this
me.
Because the reason why I bring this up is because this is important because they are filming the Batman versus Superman film. And with all the, names floating around in that film and all the potential superheroes we might see, they might just throw in a Dwayne Johnson as Black Adam or Shazam as a cameo to, kind of what Marvel does, kind of to tease the next film coming out. So, it is kind of important what he decides to play and how they tackle this project.
I'm pretty sure they both, Black Adam and Captain Marvel, have gone at it with Superman. I actually believe even Superman and Shazam teamed up to fight Black Adam. I mean, I don't know. There's a lot, and like I said, if there's so much, it's kind of hard to keep track of everything. But I could tell you that I'm 99% sure their comics have. I'm actually 100% sure their comics have intertwined at some point or another.
Interesting. I thought you knew everything about comics. Again, apparently not.
Okay.
You disappointed me
I'm
tonight.
pretty sure anytime we talk about comics, the first thing I say is, well, I don't know everything about comics. I consider myself one to know Batman stuff. But yeah, all right. I'm looking at a comic right now where Superman versus Shazam. The Man of Steel against the world's mightiest mortal. The 72-page super action novel When Earths Collide. But no Batman, no sign of me. I don't know if anything about Batman. Like, I don't think, but I'm sure at one point there was. So yeah, that's it for now.
Speaking about Batman, this is interesting.
I heard my boy hurt himself. Is this what we're going to talk about?
He did hurt himself. Now, I haven't gone into too much detail of what the injury was, but I know there was an accident, I guess you could call it, on set. But it should not affect filming, which is good news. He did post today the AOS Ice Bucket Challenge. He looked pretty good.
Yeah, I saw that with his wife.
Yeah, so can't be too banged up. But speaking of Batman, there's a website called BatmanNews.com. Have you heard of it before?
No.
Neither have I until today. But apparently they post everything about Batman, everything about, I guess, DC Comics, movies, and whatnot. They posted a photo. Now, take this with a grain of salt, but people are freaking out on the internet. Like, oh my god, this is huge news for a lot of DC comic fans. They posted a photo, not official photo, but someone leaked this from set of the Dawn of Justice film of Scoot McNairy, who is confirmed filming for Dawn of Justice, but they haven't confirmed what character he's playing yet. And this is fun. I'm going to send this picture to you right now.
Okay.
Because if you look at it, it's no big deal. He's wearing a nice suit with no jacket. Just got his pants, his collar shirt, and tie on an iPhone. It doesn't appear he's filming right now. Maybe taking a break. But below his knees his pants are rolled up, and below his knees, how can I put this? It's a green fabric he's wearing, right on below his knees, right? It's like for the green scene, for special effects, right? Mm-hmm. So people are saying, what is this for? Could this be for mechanical legs? Could this be some other visual effects? Maybe, he has no legs, whatever. But now they're saying, maybe he's the Flash. They're comparing these two things. And it's kind of absurd. It's kind of silly. It's kind of stupid because Zack Snyder has not said nothing. But let me tell you this, Jake. You are a fan of Killing Them Softly. He was a big star in that film. At one point, we knew that Aquaman and Wonder Woman
I was waiting for this.
Are joining this film. But there was no mention of Flash. What's your opinion of Flash? And what's your opinion of this movie getting one more superhero to the mixture?
All right, so...
And this is a stretch, mind you. This is not confirmed.
This is a stretch, yeah, or whatever.
Yeah. It's stupid. I shouldn't even bring it up, but it's kind of funny.
I don't know. I mean, to have him in that, I guess I could see how that's... Jump to conclusions.
Exactly.
And there were rumors before about Flash being in the movie.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, to me, if you're going to throw another character in, I guess, go ahead, do what you will. Just throw another one in there. But it's whatever. This movie, it just every week it goes by, I just get less and less. I get more and more scared. But I think he was very, very good in Killing Them Softly. He was in Argo, right, as well? Same, yeah, he was, and I enjoyed watching him, and I think he's good, and if he's going to be, Flash, then so be it. Do I think he will hurt or really affect this movie? No. I think if they put Flash in there, is it going to take away from the film, or is it going to add to the film? I honestly don't think so. I think the way DC is doing this makes them kind of really show how they feel about these characters, and it doesn't seem like they want to put a lot of investment into them, and that's kind of a little bit makes me nervous. It's a little nerve-wracking, I guess is the word. But, I could be totally wrong, and this could end up working perfectly. So, again, like many of the times of many of these rumors, I just have to see it. I really can't. I try my best not to speak, and the reason why Louis has to literally send me this picture so I can see it is because I'm so far from ever reading movie news that I'm the last person to know what's going on. People like, aren't you a movie guy? I'm like, yeah, but I don't like spoiling things. I don't like, I try to stay out of it. The only time I really hear about movie news is when Louis updates me. And, he's not super, super detailed, so I don't get upset, but, whatever. Flash is in the movie. Cool. I know he's starting his new show, on the CW, I believe, coming in October. Cool, it's fine. I know Gotham starts on Fox soon. So who knows? They're all over the place, man. Everywhere I turn, someone's in a cape. Well, except Flash isn't in a cape, but
no, he's not.
You understood the whatever you want to call it.
Maybe he's just in tights, in a costume.
That makes sense. Everywhere I turn, there's a comic book character.
Yeah. We're living in the age of the comic book heroes.
My question is, when is the comic book era gonna end? Because everything ends. All the eras end. Just when?
Eventually.
Oh yeah, it has to.
That's a good question. Because
do you think it'll be sooner than later?
You can define soon and define later. Like in soon next couple years?
Yeah, I would say sooner, 5 to 7 years.
It's going to be interesting because I think what Marvel's doing is brilliant with their phase 1, 2, and 3. So I think fans are very excited for that. They've done such a good job. I think whenever phase 3 completely ends, and maybe they end with Avengers 3, I have no clue. I think that's a safe bet to say, okay, the comic book era is still going to be going on. But like I said, Warner Brothers announced 9 DC films.
Till when? 9. Do they have a time period?
Some do. Like the Shazam movie in 2016.
Yeah, but see, they're never that far. Like Thor and Marvel, they aren't even that far ahead. They're maybe 2016. I mean, that's so much. That's ridiculous. If you're going to give us that many movies, that many, every 2 years, oh, dude, I'm telling you, people are bound to get sick of this stuff at some time, right? I don't know.
Eventually, I think they will, but...
How do you feel? Are you tired of the superhero mania or what? Are you over it?
I don't see all of them. And I think that's the key.
True.
I haven't seen Captain America 1 or 2.
Jesus.
I know that's crazy, but I haven't. You
haven't seen the rest of the X-Men?
I haven't seen the rest of the X-Men. I haven't. I've seen the new Spider. I've seen the Thors. I've seen Iron Man, but I didn't see Iron Man 1 or 2 in the theaters. I waited for that to come out on DVD.
You saw them all. What are you forgetting?
I'm sure there's something.
Hulk, but you loved Hulk
because of my boy Edward Norton.
Did you see Lou Ferrigno do the ice bucket challenge?
No.
Oh, funniest thing in the world. He challenges Mark Ruffalo, but he was so funny.
Yeah.
He did it. He's like, it was the funniest thing. You have to watch. I'll send it to you.
They said
we're big Lou Ferrigno fans
because of Celebrity Apprentice.
Yes.
I don't know. I think Avengers 3 is slated for 2018. I think people are going to be hyped up until that point for sure. I think that's a lock. I think after Avengers 3, and then depending how Zack Snyder does with DC and the Justice League, then it might get sticky. In 2019, 2020, maybe then we might be saying the death of the comic book era. But before then, I don't see it. I think it's just
I would just hope, I hope whatever happens, when it all comes down to the end, I hope that these studios and these companies can see past their differences and finally do the Avengers versus Justice League and just let all hell break loose.
That'd be great. I would love that. But and another thing to cut you off, sorry to cut you off, but I think maybe the death of the comic book era is when we're going to get another bad Batman film. Because if you think, arguably, you could say really the films that changed everything was the Nolan Batman films to kind of completely change what comic book movies can be.
Yes, but so they weren't like, that didn't start the comic book era.
I know, but it kind of got everyone fascinating with going out, oh my god, this is much more than a comic book movie. You didn't say that with X-Men per se.
Yeah.
You know, you were impressed by X-Men, but you didn't say that. You said that about Nolan. You said, man, these aren't comic book movies, these are art. You know,
I don't know if anything has replicated that yet.
You know,
as much as they try.
Nothing has replicated that yet. But, you know, until we get another Batman and Robin film, and people are just upset.
I just want to know when. Like,
I would be happy with that, but I think the general public would be like, okay, I'm done.
See, I feel like it's going to be like,
seen the best ones.
Affleck's going to play a Batman, and he's going to like kick ass, and he's like, you know what? I'm going to direct the Batman. I'm going to direct it. And then he's going to direct it as be a best picture. And then after that, it's all going to go downhill.
Now, I think people, well, depending how they accept Ben Affleck in this up-and-coming film, if they accept him fairly and he directs a Batman film and it wins best picture, I think people would be all for it. All the Batman fans, forget it. It'd be mayhem.
But I
doubt that's going to happen.
But the thing is, Batman, I honestly, and I 100% believe this, and it's not because I'm a Batman fan, Batman is the exception to the rule. If comic book movie dies out completely, they could still make a Batman movie. People would still go see it. It's Batman. Like, we've talked about many times, he's the most reoccurring, having his own film, superhero. People just love him.
But what if that
we are a Batman generation.
Flops?
It don't matter.
It doesn't matter. No, for the whole comic book era, then even more like, oh, excuse my language.
Oh my god.
Oh my god. They'd be like, oh my god, Batman flopped? You got 20% on Rotten Tomatoes? Oh man.
I don't think they care about percent on Rotten Tomatoes. I don't think they give a damn.
You know, some people do. Some people, you know, some studios.
If a Batman movie was bad and another one came out the next year, you wouldn't go see it?
Depends who's in it. If it's the same crew.
Same exact crew. You'd go see it. You would. I know it.
No, I wouldn't. I would make you go first.
We're going. All right. Well, we're getting way sidetracked.
I have no clue, man. That's a tough question.
Well, we want to know. Why don't you tweet us and let us know, when do you think the
2022?
How long do you think 2022? I'm gonna hold you to that. How long? How long? Well, I'll probably forget tomorrow. How long do you think this comic book movie era will continue? So, anyway, sorry for Louis' explicit. By the way, explicit language.
It just slipped.
All right, so moving on. We got to get to our top. We got to get to our top.
Oh, one more news fast.
All right, I will edit.
This is quick. This is very quick. In front of Sin City 2: A Dame to Kill, apparently, Quentin Tarantino's Hateful Eight is going to be having a trailer attached to that film. Now, people are saying, "How is this possible? They haven't even filmed it." No one knows, but Weinstein Company released a report that there is going to be a trailer of Hateful Eight attached to Sin City 2.
They've been filming all along. It was all a scam.
People are talking about that. Wouldn't that be something?
Who knows? Or it might not even. It might just be a trailer of like a gun. You know, who knows? It could be just an object.
It's over a minute long.
Who knows?
Yeah, so it's going to be interesting. So fans of Tarantino, fans of Frank Miller, and fans of Robert Rodriguez, get ready.
Speaking of Sin City, me and Louie are doing this kind of early in the week, but I'm going to be reviewing If I Stay Right Now for the major release of this week. And though Sin City 2 did come out this week, by the time you're hearing this, we didn't have any press screenings for it, so I didn't get to see it. So by the time you're listening to this, I may have seen it, but you're probably going to have to wait till next week unless I see it before I actually release this podcast. So as of right now, I do not have a review for Sin City 2, but I'll have it either next week, or if I do see it before I release this, I'll do a little add-on for you guys. But chances are I probably won't be able to see it until the following podcast. Okay. So for the big movie review, I'm going to do this pretty quick, as me and Lee are going to move on to our Robin Williams films, and we wanted to dedicate a lot of time to the legendary man he was. If I Stay, starring Chloe Grace Moretz, tells the story of a girl with a young girl who has a boyfriend, and they are going to college and making decisions, and she has a family that supports her, and a typical life of, she has her struggles, but she has a happy life. Gets into a car accident with her family, loses her mother and her father. She wakes up on the snow, on the middle of the concrete, and looks for her mother and father, only to find her body, finding out she is not in her body anymore. It's her spirit, or some type of out-of-body experience, if you will. She's run to the hospital, and while she's in surgery, one of the nurses say, it's up to you. It's your fight now. You could either give it all you got to live, or you can let go and die. Paraphrasing there. And the whole movie is her balancing living with, staying with her boyfriend and going to school for the cello, and her younger brother, or dying and going with her parents. She can't stand to be away from her parents. The movie works on a certain level because I think it taps into emotions that we all very much feel about someone we've lost before, or having someone that we know very ill in the hospital. We've known that feeling of sitting in a waiting room for a long time, or telling someone older or someone sick that we love to be able to let go, and things like that. And I think that taps into our emotions. And I'm not saying the movie tries to, manipulate that emotion. But I think that when we do see this movie, I'm not necessarily, if I did cry, or if someone cries, they're not necessarily crying for Chloe Grace Moretz or for a specific character, rather than being able to relate that to real life. Now, that being said, I think Chloe Grace Moretz did a nice job in this performance. She didn't do anything special. She has one really, really solid moment, but she gives a solid performance throughout. Just nothing super spectacular. But she has one moment when she finds out, there's a little twist, I won't spoil it, about her family that really crushes her. And I think that scene worked well. I think the major problem I had with this movie is I didn't buy Chloe's relationship with her boyfriend. Her boyfriend was played by this name's gonna be tough. Let me see here. Let me see if I could. Oh no, I'm sorry. I was thinking of someone else. Jamie Blackley. Not the name I thought I was gonna mess up. I saw the name and I assumed it was his, but it's not. It was the girl who played another character. So anyway, Jamie Blackley plays Adam. So it's Mia and Adam. So I didn't really buy their relationship. It made sense, and it had their romantic moments, and it had the moments where he's like, "You're going to school for cello 5,000 miles away. I hate you." Well, he doesn't. He did not say that. He doesn't say that, but he's really heartbroken, and he's been in band. The stuff you would typically expect in that kind of situation. Mm-hmm. But you have that always fall back on, like, oh, well, now she's almost dead. Now he regrets saying all that stuff, but he kind of regrets at another point. Anyway, I just did not buy the relationship, and that kind of defeats the whole purpose of the film. Is her one thing she's debating on staying for is her boyfriend, mm-hmm. or ex-boyfriend, or whatever you want to call it. The best part of the entire movie was her grandfather, played by Stacy Keach, who was in Nebraska and he was in the Bourne Legacy. Mm-hmm. He's been in a lot of stuff. A great veteran actor, and he has the best scene in the movie. He plays her grandfather, and about halfway through the film, she's in a coma, but she's sitting there watching her body as people are going in saying their words just in case she doesn't make it. And her grandpa sits there and tells her the story about her father. And it's really, really touching because you're brought to believe something else throughout the film through her. And then when their grandfather reveals something, it's quite touching. However, it's not the story. It's when he literally is just choked up and struggling to get every word out as he says, I really, really want you to stay. And I love you and I want you to fight through this. But I know with your parents being gone, and I know how hard if you're hurting that bad, and you know it's okay to let go, and as emotional as that sounds, it was brutal. I mean, I'll never forget this. You could tell everyone in the theater was crying, but as the moment pauses and like you hear silence, all of a sudden you heard, and everyone kind of laughed because it was just like, this lady was sobbing in the theater, but it is a really emotional scene, and Stacey Keach plays it so well and so honest and so beautifully true that it breaks your heart because you've either been there in your life or you've known someone there in your life, and you could imagine telling someone that you love that. It's just a very beautiful moment. Mm-hmm. The movie has heart. The movie has a good message. I get it, and I understand what it was trying to say. I just don't know if it executed as properly as it should. If you want to read my full review, go to chasingcinema.com/ifistay. I would like to talk more about this movie, but me and Louis got to talk about Mr. Robin Williams. So check out my review, chasingcinema.com/ifistay. All right, Louis.
Yes.
Sir Robin Williams, a legendary actor and comedian that we've unfortunately lost. Our way of showing dedication, not dedication, our way of showing, well, I guess, no, this is a dedication to him. Our dedication to him would be to reflect on his career and talk our thanks by talking about our favorite Robin Williams movies. We were going to do our favorite Robin Williams performances, but we decided just to kind of take the movies as a whole. So Louis, why don't you hop in and tell us your number 5 favorite Robin Williams movie?
Like you said before, this is very tough. I'm still reeling over his death. I still can't believe it happened. I think it's just a bad dream. Like most people out there, I grew up on Robin Williams films. He was a constant in my house, and my mom, my dad, my sister, we all shared countless of memories and moments, laughing and enjoying life while he was on our TV screen. He meant a lot to everyone, a lot to us, and just thinking about all the films I could have selected, it's a lot. He had such a diverse filmography, and there are so many films I could have mentioned, but to eliminate a lot to get down to 5 was very difficult, but here we go anyways. I would have to say one of my favorite comedies, one of my favorite performances of his has to come in the Mike Nichols directed The Birdcage. This film has heart, has absurdity, has so much layers of comedy. It's just crazy. And Robin Williams and Nathan Lane play one of the funniest, most charming, likable, relatable, lovable couples you could see in any movie. They're great together, and another layered performance by Robin Williams. He made you laugh, he made you cry, and it was just full of heart. And it's a great film. If you haven't seen it, you definitely need to check it out. It's also with Gene Hackman, and it's just such a funny film. And it's definitely one that you could watch over and over again. And I'm definitely looking forward to watching this film in the near future.
My number 5 wasn't at all one of the most critically acclaimed films. A lot of critics will tell you that they didn't like it, including one of our heroes, Roger Ebert. However, to me, it was a huge staple in my childhood. One of the few VHSs that I literally had, watched so many times that the tape started falling apart. It has to do with one of my favorite childhood stories, a story that I, to this day, absolutely love and read every chance I get when I want to read something light or something different, revisit a favorite. And that story is Peter Pan, and I'm talking about his performance in Steven Spielberg's Hook. To a lot of critics, Hook was not a good experience, but to me, Hook was a defining movie in my childhood because, first of all, I've always loved Peter Pan. I thought Peter Pan is one of the greatest childhood literary characters of all time. The cartoon is classic and memorable. However, the thought of Peter Pan growing up, I thought the thought of that movie was just so genius and just such a wonderful thought. You know, it's like when you watch a movie and you always say, what if this happened? What if that happened? Having Peter Pan grow up, I thought was just an excellent just story. And to actually bring Peter Pan to life, I imagine just being very hard. I saw the 2006, 2007 version of Peter Pan. I didn't really care for the kid who played Peter Pan. However, Robin Williams, a middle-aged actor, somehow played the kid who never grows up, you know, in an old man's body, and it's amazing. When you watch that movie, sure, at the beginning, you know, in the beginning of the film, he's not, but when he does become Pan, he doesn't, you know, he literally becomes Pan, and I don't know how to necessarily explain it in the best way, but he plays this kid. He plays the leader of the Lost Boys in Robin Williams' body, and it's such an amazing performance, counterparted by Dustin Hoffman Hook, who I think is the best portrayal of Captain Hook ever. Literally became Captain Hook, but this movie is filled with such beauty and fun and just so much fantasy, and brought some of my favorite characters of all time to life that it's hard for me not to appreciate that film. John Williams did an awesome score to that movie, but Peter Pan, he has some really great lines and just some really great moments overall in that film, and one that I really, really, really love and always will. And he did something similar that didn't make my list, but I'll talk about it more in our honorable mentions. But Hook is a classic that will never grow old, I guess is the best way to sum it up.
Again, that was beautifully put, and a film that definitely I thought about putting in my list. And he was perfect to play Peter Pan. He had that joy about him, and he was great in Hook. Keeping the list moving on, my number 4 film is probably an underlooked performance of his, just because when people think about this film, they think of De Niro's performance in this film, who he was nominated for Best Actor from this movie, and I'm talking about Penny Marshall's Awakenings. And as good as De Niro was in this film, don't get me wrong, he put on a brilliant performance. The movie succeeds because of Robin Williams' performance in this film. He grounds the film. He carries the film. His genuine compassion and passion in this film, in this character, really moves the film into being a very overlooked film, a classic film, if I will say. It's such a great performance by him. It's such a heartbreaking, touching story. It's definitely one of my favorite films of Robin Williams and De Niro's. Just thinking about his character in this film is this. It's kind of heartbreaking to think, you know, that this man is not with us anymore, and it's just I really can't say. It's just a brilliant film, a brilliant performance. And if you haven't seen it, definitely check it out. It definitely will awaken you to how fine of an actor Robin Williams was.
Unfortunately did not make my list because I feel like though I love his performance as well as Robert De Niro's performance in that film, I might have saw it too late. Because I reflected on a lot of films that I grew up watching, and as a lot of people have stated, Robin Williams was part of their childhood, and I think that's kind of another reason why we feel like we've lost someone close to us, is because we kind of grew up with him. Though there are one or two films on my list that I was older when I saw, but still, he kind of had that already embedded in us, that he felt like, that distant uncle, if you will.
Yeah.
If you could understand that. But my 4th film is another comedy that I surprised, maybe shouldn't have when I was younger, but I watched a whole hell of a lot, probably just as much as Hook. I actually believe I showed this to Louis, and that was Mike Nichols' Birdcage. And The Birdcage, I watched that movie as a kid nonstop, and as much as I enjoyed it as a kid, I really learned to appreciate it as I got older. Robin Williams and Nathan Lane. Wow. You want to talk? I honestly could say that may be one of the greatest on-screen couples ever, because they are so, their chemistry just blended so well, as, you know, how he acted, Nathan Lane acted, opposed to Robin Williams' performance. Robin Williams is so great. Nathan Lane being the eccentric, really loud, perky, drag queen that he does play, for, you know, in this nightclub. Robin Williams is such the anti and just so annoying, and it's just such a perfect counterpart to her, or him. But really, really great film. And Robin Williams, though Nathan Lane is funny and hilarious and loud, Robin Williams is just so perfectly paired with him that it just makes it, they literally complement each other like, you know, a great meal and a great dessert, if you will. And watching this movie recently after his passing really, really kind of struck me home when I realized, like, wow, like, you know, when I think about Robin Williams in The Birdcage and I think of Robin Williams in Awakening, you know, I kind of forget that they're the same actor because of how wide of a range he has. And you'll obviously see that in our lists, how you go from kids' movies like Hook and Aladdin to movies like Awakening and, you know, other movies that I don't want to mention just yet because I don't know what's on Louis' list. But, I mean, his range is what really made him so powerful. And though he obviously started off in more of a comedic sense, you know, the man has, you know, been definitely praised as a living legend, was a living legend as an actor. Yeah, so Birdcage is definitely a great film. If you've never seen it, please check it out, because it is one hilarious movie and a great way to pay respects for Robin Williams.
Absolutely. And that, like you said, his diversity is some of the best you see among any actors. And as we grew up on the comedies, as we got older, we ventured into his more serious work. And that's where we find films like Good Will Hunting. And this is where this film falls on my list at number 3.
It actually falls on mine number 3 too. So we'll just share
Beautiful. Good Will Hunting. Robin Williams gives, you know, arguably he won the Oscar for this performance, arguably his best performance in anything he's done. And it's probably one of his most heartfelt performances. And it's so moving, so inspirational, and it touches you. When he, especially the park bench scene with Matt Damon, or the other scenes with Matt Damon in the therapist room, it really tugs at your heartstrings. It really connects you. When you're watching this film, it feels like he is speaking directly to you. His performance is so real and so genuine. It moves past just being a movie. You feel like you're in the same room with Robin Williams' character, and you just feel like he's sharing his life lessons with you, and it really connects with you, really resonates with you, and again, you just memorized by this man, Mork. You start off as Mork can put on a performance this powerful and just moving, it just blows you away, you know, and it's such a fine performance.
I think Louis really kind of hit the nail on the head on that. I mean, though when I talk about this movie, I usually am talking about Ben Affleck. You know, there is an amazing performance, and a lot of people think it was his best performance in Good Will Hunting, because, like, I think Louis said it best, is that it was just so honest. It just felt so honest, and he had an amazing way of just making all of his performances feel very real and pure. And I think this was a time that he really, really actually transcended that a lot better than some of his other performances. But I remember watching Good Will Hunting and just being like, wow, like that was the guy who played in The Birdcage. That's Peter Pan. And he is, you know, even though he has his moments of comedy in Good Will Hunting, I mean, there's real beauty in his performances and his words. And like you said, in the scenes where he's, you know, in the room, the therapist room, or what'd you call it?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, the therapist. Sorry.
Yeah, the office. I mean, just some really, really great subtle pureness out of that performance. Awesome. This is one of the movies I actually didn't get a chance to revisit since his passing, but I'm actually really excited to rewatch this one because it's actually been a little bit. So great film. Obviously, it's the one that he won the Academy Award for, and well deserved. So,
and go back and watch his speech, his acceptance speech on the Oscar. It's just another reason to love Robin Williams. So moving on to my number 2 film. And this film has a lot of meaning and personal relevance in my life because I vividly remember watching this for the first time. I was in the 9th grade, and my English teacher, who Jake had later on in his high school career, Mr. Clark, sold this to the class. And it was Dead Poets Society. And again, being 9 years old, being in 9th grade, kind of leaving, adolescence behind, kind of developing into the 16, 18, the young adult there, and watching that film, it really had a profound effect on me because it was probably one of the most heartbreaking yet inspirational films I have seen. And it all goes back to Robin Williams' performance as John Keating. Such an inspirational figure, such a moving figure, and he plays it with such honesty, such heart, such emotion that it really connects with everyone, and it really moves you to want to live a better life, want to live life to its fullest. And just reading some of the quotes that comes from the movie, it's still so powerful, so relevant today, and it could be taglines to how to live your life. And just watching it in the 9th grade really set the foundation not only for my film taste in the future, but for how we should live life. And it's a beautiful film, a beautiful performance, and I haven't watched it since his passing, but I'm sure it's just going to be so painful and so heart-wrenching to go through that one again.
Yeah, I was shown that film also in the 9th grade, I believe it was. Mr. Clark didn't show it to me. I watched it in my English class too, I believe. I might be mistaken, though. I don't have the best memory. But I remember watching the film and also being greatly touched. And obviously, Oh Captain, My Captain is legendary. Carpe Diem. Though, that movie didn't create that saying, it was definitely one to make that saying very legendary. And at least in our culture, not our culture, but our generation. That carried over. Definitely a great performance. Unfortunately, again, I think it's because I saw it too late. Not that we're not qualifying these on his performance, but more of the movies and how much they mean to us. And so I kind of stuck to just what I really love and what made me fall in love with Robin Williams in the first place. So that one didn't make my list, but definitely an honorable mention, Dead Poets Society. And it's one that I feel like a lot of people I've spoken to haven't seen. Though I think now it's going to be visited a lot because so many of the tributes have mentioned it, but definitely want to check out.
Definitely, if you haven't seen this, you need to watch it yesterday. That's how important this film is. And during one of CNN's many tributes to Robin Williams, they had an interview with Robin Williams during around this time, 89, maybe 90, 91, talking about Dead Poets Society. And he said he felt that was one of the most important films he's ever made. And the interviewer said, why? And he said, well, I tell you, I was at Lowe's. I was out one day, and the guy comes up to me and says, thank you for changing my life. And, Robin said, I was, kind of flustered. I didn't know what it meant. And I asked him why. He said, I was working at Lowe's, and I saw Dead Poets Society. I quit my job and became a teacher, all because of you. I want to say thank you. And Robin was genuinely moved and touched from that. And it's that kind of performance, that kind of movie that, Robin Williams should be remembered for.
Yeah. That movie, if you are a teacher, you should show that movie at some point for older kids because it was really moving. And I remember that I could feel that inspiration in that whole entire classroom. Such a great movie. I'm actually going to go in a little bit different direction from this inspiring film to my number 2, which surprisingly probably to a lot of people is really neck and neck with my number 1. I remember watching this movie, and it has never, ever, ever left my mind. I think it is a great and, very underrated movie. Though a lot of people enjoyed it in its time, it's kind of been left out of conversation of recent. I think it's one of Robin Williams' best performance. So this would have been on my list if it was best performances. And it's also a completely different side to Robin Williams. Robin Williams played a villain in Insomnia, directed by Christopher Nolan with Al Pacino, and that is one of the introductions to seeing Robin Williams playing a darker character. However, as great as Insomnia was, and another honorable mention, this film, my number 2, I thought was more harrowing of a performance, and that is 1 Hour Photo. 1 Hour Photo tells the story of Cy, the photo guy, a very lonely, friendless man who works in the 1 Hour Photo Depot in a Walmart type shop called Save Mart, and his obsession with his family that comes in all the time. He develops an extra set of photos and puts them on his wall and tells people that they're his family. And his way of trying to get into that family is he kind of starts beginning to stalk them, as scary and as violent as he becomes. And in this film, feeling the sympathy that you feel for that character never leaves. I think as extreme as he gets, he still so beautifully executes how much of just a lonely, sad person he is. Roger Ebert, I am actually rewatching 1 Hour Photo as we speak. I watched it as soon as I heard, and I'm actually rewatching it right now. It's on pause in the other room, actually. I was reading Roger Ebert's review. Roger Ebert gave it a 3.5 out of 4 stars. So that says it all. I mean, if you've never seen this movie or maybe watched it and maybe it didn't transcend or whatever it was, go back and rewatch it, because I'm watching it now, and I was afraid when I was rewatching it that maybe I wouldn't have liked it as much as I did when I was younger. But it's still harrowing, and it's such a beautifully shot movie. It is such a well shot movie. And Robin Williams, I'm going to paraphrase Roger Ebert here by saying he perfects playing the forgotten man, the man that everyone sees but doesn't know. I can't remember what Roger Ebert called him, but he said he perfected that man that no one talks to, the man that no one doesn't have friends, and it's so true. And you look at him with the blonde hair, the blonde comb over, and just like that's. Like I said before, that's the same guy. Like that's the guy who got stuck in a game for how many years? It's the same character that would voice the genie. Like what? And I mean, I remember this movie being on Fox, or no, not Fox. I'm sorry, FX, like all the time too. When I was like in middle school and high school, I'm getting more middle school, but really such a great movie and one of Robin Williams' best performance. I'm going to talk about something in the next film, but I'll talk about it later. I'll bring myself back to this though. So, Louis, what is your number 1?
And again, a great choice by Jake. 1 Hour Photo, creepily good, scary, and it stays with you. And who would have thought Robin Williams could have pulled that off so convincingly? And if this was performance based, this definitely would be on a lot of people's lists, including mine.
I just think it's so amazing that, like, of all the things that he does, I mean, it's just like, you just feel so bad for him the entire time. And like, as bad things that he does, you're just like, that poor man. Like, that's the only thing. And I think that's amazing that he's able to kind of control that balance. I mean, it really shows his skill as an actor. I'm sorry, but go on.
No, you're right. Moving on to my number 1 film, and I'm going to go on a limb and say your number 1 film is as well. This film I grew up with, without a doubt. I had it on VHS. I had it on DVD. We watched it countless of times. It never gets old. It always stays as funny, as charming, as emotional, relevant, as powerful today as it did in the 90s. And that is Mrs. Doubtfire. I think...
Also my number 1.
When you think of Robin when you think of Robin Williams, you think of Mrs. Doubtfire.
It's true. When I think of Robin
that,
Williams, I don't think of the man. I always think of Mrs. Doubtfire first.
You think of that accent. You think of the suit, the makeup, and the arm's length that father did to be closer his kids. And like most Robin Williams films, behind the comedy, behind the joy, there's such heart and feelings and emotion and vulnerability in his performance that it actually moves you. Like recently watching it again, it's I can't say it's a sad movie because it's definitely not. The movie makes you laugh and laugh and laugh, but there's a parts that are just so heartbreaking to watch now, especially now. It kind of produces tears. It's powerful, and that's just the compassion he had in his performance, and I don't know, behind the joy, there's true feelings he put into his work, and it's just a shame that he's gone, and that he definitely lives on in that film, and he definitely still will bring joy to many people. And that performance, that movie is just one of my all-time favorites. It's so good, it's so funny. I could watch that every day.
I think Mrs. Doubtfire, in my opinion, is the poster for Robin Williams' career, just because of the emotions that he goes through in that film. As Louis said, it is hilarious and produced one of mine and Louis' favorite jokes of all time. I could do an impression of a hot dog. That whole scene when he does all the voices, I mean, incredible. And then when he's in the transformation, but there is so much heart to this movie, and there are scenes when he talks about air and his children and how it is like. I mean, that's so beautiful. And I wanted to talk. This is what I was talking about earlier when I was doing 1 Hour Photo. I think every actor, or mostly every actor, has something that they do that you kind of always see in their performance. And Robin Williams, I'm sure all of you have noticed this, but it's always stuck with me. And when I think of him, I always see him doing this. When I think of him doing this, Robin Williams, when he's doing something emotional or doing something, depending on if it's sad or happy or on the verge of tears, he does this smile. And when he smiles, his eye squints and it looks like he's going to cry. But he's trying to hide the tears and smile instead. When Miranda says she wants a divorce in this film, he does it. He goes, "Come on." And he smiles. And to me, it's again that balance, because Robin Williams, in his performance, wants to show us that his character is trying to be funny and happy and trying to laugh it off, but deep down knows, or deep down hurts or is sad. I mean, he literally does it in mostly every performance that he does. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, watch some of his movies and watch Miss Doubtfire when he says Miranda, and he does it and he always squints and it looks like he's going to cry, but he smiles instead. And it's a really weird thing. Lou, you know what I'm talking about, right? It's a weird thing that he always does, and he does it amazingly. I mean, he could be happy and smile, but you could still feel like he's going to cry.
There's pain behind the smile.
Yeah, absolutely. But there are times when he just does it joyously, and it's something about that smile when it just feels like he's emotional in some sense, but you could tell if it's good or bad, a good cry or bad cry. But that cry, I mean, it's such. I can't describe it because it's such a it's such a move, I guess you could call it, or an expression that gives such a volume of emotions. And he does it when Miranda says she wants a divorce, and he does it again when he's talking about his children, because he's trying to laugh with the judge, but he can't hold back. And to me, I think that really defies him as a performer, because he plays the hurt, lonely, scary character, but he also could play the happy-go-lucky. But it was his balance of being able to do both that made him, an actor that's going to live on forever and ever. It's that balance. And if you watch his movies, literally watch a movie like 1 Hour Photo or Good Will Hunting, and then watch Hook or Jack opposing it, and watch how he could do it. Watch how he could jump from from category to, we've seen actors do it, but there's something about Robin Williams doing it that's just like, wow, it's really a transition. So Mrs. Doubtfire, really, really touches on a lot of emotional points, and I think it just really a subject, a man in a woman suit that we've seen a bazillion times in film is just so beautifully, purely done by Robin Williams in such heart. And like Louis said, it's going to make you laugh, but I'm sure if you watched it this time around, it's probably going to make you a little bit more emotional. But it does have a beautiful message and a lot of heart. So I'm going to agree with Louis as that being my number one favorite Robin Williams movie. Some honorable mentions. One I mentioned right now, Jack. If you've never seen Jack, please find this movie. Jack is a great comedic, but also very beautiful and touching. A lot of tributes have used the speech he has in Jack. Jack
it's a great speech.
Yeah, Jack is a 10-year-old boy in a 40-year-old man's body. He is born with a disease that makes him age like 4 times as fast. At 4 times or 3 times. Well, I'm assuming if he's 40 at 10. 4
times.
Yeah, I'm not sure if that's his exact age, but he's 4 times. He grows 4 more times. So he is this 40-year-old man, old, Robin Williams, trying to befriend 10-year-olds, and
it's great.
It's a great heartful movie. Bill Cosby's in it. Fran Drescher's in it.
Danny DeVito directed it.
Danny DeVito directed it. The Fisher King, another amazing movie that I don't feel like a lot of people talk about, with him and
Jeff Bridges. Robin Williams plays a homeless man, and that is an amazing movie. Like that, he is so good in that movie. You've seen that, right? Yeah.
Oh yeah, so good. He plays a homeless man, but he has such a huge heart. Do you have any other honorable? I mean, I could go on forever, but I'm sure you want to share some.
Sorry, I need to make a correction fast. Danny DeVito does have a cameo in it. Francis Ford Coppola did direct Jack. I think the Godfather directed Jack is amazing.
Yeah, that's true.
I definitely include Jack in it. I love that film growing up. It's amazing. Him watching Robin Williams act with young actors it's a joy. Speaking of Danny DeVito, he did direct Death to Smoochie, which Robin Williams is. I think that's another honorable mention. A very weird, out there movie, but Robin Williams' performance is again borderline creepy loner guy to happy-go-lucky guy. It's fascinating to watch, and he has great chemistry with Edward Norton. One of my favorites growing up was also Jumanji. I thought that was a fun movie and another great performance of Robin Williams, from going to this poor man trapped in the board game to coming back and again readapted to civilization, finding love again. Is very beautiful. Of course, Aladdin.
Yeah, Aladdin, of course. I know a lot of people are going to be shocked that didn't end up on my list because I'm such a kid movie lover. And granted, I grew up on Aladdin too, and I love Aladdin. I mean, I've been singing A Friend Like Me, ever since I heard. But to me, these movies kind of move me in a greater fashion than Aladdin did. Aladdin is great, though. Sorry, Lou.
No, Aladdin is great. Again, Insomnia, I know you mentioned. I think he another creepy, scary performance, but he
playing the everyman, the every other guy,
And he puts a good fight to Pacino, man. You would think Pacino would be the one that's intimidating. It is actually Robin Williams more intimidating than Pacino. It's fascinating. Another film that I haven't seen in ages, but loved as a kid, it was The Bicentennial Man.
Bicentennial Man's good. I actually forgot about that one. And very heartful movie.
Very heartful. Again,
not one that critics loved. Not a very good.
Many people hated it, but I enjoyed it thoroughly.
I'll have to rewatch that because I haven't seen that in years either.
And I think that'd be good to rewatch. And again, the common theme behind his films, behind all the laughter, there's pain.
Yeah.
There's some heart. There's some emotions. And that's a good one. Patch Adams.
Patch Adams was about to mention an amazing, it's a true story about someone who just wanted to spread joy, but also had a lot of things he had to go through, and it was quite emotional at times. What Dreams May Come is one that I've heard a lot of people talk about. A beautiful movie about the afterlife and what things happen. A very, very great movie. The list goes on.
Of course, we gotta mention Good Morning Vietnam. People are probably going to hate us for that. That's fabulous as well. There was one coming up. Let's see. I even like Flubber.
See,
again.
I wasn't a fan of Flubber.
I love Flubber, especially. I thought that was so cool. And again, like kind of watching clips of that now. There's emotion in that too. Saying I love you even to the subatomic element of you. I love everything about you. That's great. Even Father's Day with Billy Crystal, which the critics hated. There's so much joy that could be found in that movie, and seeing Crystal and Williams work together. It's hard not to laugh and smile. There's a lot. We could read through the whole.
Yeah, you honestly could read his IMDb filmography and find great performances, and
of course Mork and Mindy. Watch Mork and Mindy. If you haven't seen some of that, that's where it all started, really.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy how much he's done, and the amazing. To see how much great that man's done. It's so sad to kind of know that there will only be a few more Robin Williams movies to come out. Mm-hmm. Guys, watch some Robin Williams movies. Do yourself a favor and revisit and kind of celebrate this actor because he deserves to be celebrated. As we did today, this is for the memory of Robin Williams. And we dedicate this show to his family and his loved ones and everyone that was affected by the loss of Robin Williams. And to close out the show tonight, we're going to do 10 seconds of silence, if you will. So we're going to close out, and then we're going to stay on for 10 seconds to give this actor 10 seconds of silence that he deserves. So next week, tune in as me and Louis talk about a bunch of other stuff, because off the top of my head, I don't know what we're talking about, and
we'll be speaking about something.
Yeah, it's always something. The conversation of cinema always continues here. Watch some Robin Williams movies. Go to chasingcinema.com/ifistay if you want to read my review on If I Stay. Check our YouTube page, youtube.com/chasingcinema. And again, show your love for Robin Williams by watching a Robin Williams movie while you can. So right after we outro, 10 seconds of silence for him. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Jacob Toronto.
Louis Corazon.
And please continue chasing cinema.